Hello everybody, starting a live stream, so let me check. It looks like I've got good signal strength. That hasn't really been an issue since I've moved into this new house, which is nice. Welcome. If this is your first time, my name is Chris. I host the show Comic Tropes here on YouTube, and sometimes I like to just do a live stream where I draw, take questions from the audience, and I do that every day of October for the Inktober challenge. Hey, it's RuneScape, somebody that I know in real life. How's it going, RuneScape? Hello, Iron Shell and Highgate and Beowulf. So, yeah, today's prompt for Inktober was, or is, Ornament. So I've decided to take a crack at Krampus, the evil version of Santa, basically, and we'll see where it goes. Hello, J Muse and Pterodactyl. Hello to everybody. So, this should be a fun one, I think. We shall see where it goes. But it's interesting. I feel like Krampus became very popular a few years back. Like, all of a sudden, everybody was making movies and comics and stuff about him, even though the legend has been around forever. It just sort of got a burst of popularity. Hello from Thailand, or to Thailand, I should say. Hello to PC. Hello, Franco. Lovely to have so many folks in here tonight. Appreciate it. Just gonna block out some of the major foreground and outline areas, and then we can all move forward with a bunch of details. And I'm almost definitely going to be keeping this to an hour because I'm going out with a friend later to see a movie. So I'll probably end it kind of abruptly. Yep, Krampus. Hello, James. Hello, Puerto. Hello. Let's see. So well, no, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and illustrate these bony fingers with my bigger brush. What is the hardest thing to ink? It's a good question. I'm trying to think of like something. I'll tell you that like the easiest texture is leather. That's a pretty easy one to make some interesting scratchy movements and have it really represent leather. But what's the toughest? I guess just sort of feathering some shadows for like a person, because you know if a person doesn't look right, everybody just knows it because we see people every day, so we don't even need to be a good artist or anything to just sort of sense that something's off. So feathering for lighting on faces and stuff can be tricky still for me anyway. I'm sure there are some shortcuts out there that a lot of professional artists utilize, but you know, definitely still trying to learn and improve is all I can say. Hello, Mandela. Hello, Texas Grizzly. No, I don't think I've ever read any Thai comics. I can't think of any comic books from Thailand that I've heard of. That would be new to me. Rob Liefeld would have said feet. Classic. Well, I edited a video, thinking of Rob Liefeld, I edited a video today of my trip to New York Comic Con, and that's going to be an exclusive for my Patreon supporters for a little while, and after I feel they've all had a chance to see it, I'll release it to everybody. But finished editing that today, so that was one accomplishment. Now I'm going to do this. Feathering adds a bit of texture to most drawings. Yeah, I don't think I'm great at feathering, honestly. I'm working on my consistency was what basically what it comes down to. we doing Christmas horror? That's basically what I'm doing, yeah. Do you like the comic Requiem of the Crazy? I don't know that one. I've never heard of that title, I have to admit. Let's see. Just watched a video on the primes in Transformers. Very interesting history with all the different continuities. Yeah, I bet that they've rebooted that a bunch. I loved Transformers as a kid. If you watch, I did an episode once on the comic, the Transformers comic I made when I was 10 years old. That kind of shows you how much I was into Transformers. I made like a 60-page comic about Transformers. But I have to admit, I'm definitely no longer an expert. There's just too many versions that I have no idea what they're about. I haven't kept up. I like the idea of Transformers. I'm sure I always will to some degree. First toy line I was really into as a kid. But I did sell them all years ago. Sometimes I wish I had a few of them for nostalgia's sake, but it's okay because I sold them to a friend that's really into them, and so I know they went to like a good home. And I don't know, it also felt nice to sort of be unburdened of having to lug around sort of a collection that I didn't really do anything with as an adult. It was just sort of up in the attic. So yeah, that comic was better than some of the official stuff. I haven't read too much of the official stuff. I've heard some good things about some of the things IDW has done, but I have to admit I'm not up to date. I haven't really read them, so I don't have a frame of reference. There were just too many continuities of Transformers for a while, and it just was too hard to keep up with. Even like if I go to a store these days, I might look at Lego still, and so I see like these Transformers, and I'm like, it looks like they're from like 3 different lines. Like there's like sort of the Hasbro toys, there's toys based on the live action movies, and there's toys based on like a cartoon. So there's like at least 3 sort of different looks to the Transformers that they have on the shelves. I find that a little confusing. Oh well. Draw me next week. We both know that'll be the spookiest. Oh. I have read Matt Kint's Mind Management, but that feels like it was like 10 years ago, so I don't remember it too well off the top of my head. I remember I liked the idea and the art, but I don't remember the plot very well. What artist would you say has influenced my drawing style? I mean, when I was younger, it was definitely guys like Will Eisner, Frank Miller, Mike Allred, and then like, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, and Todd McFarlane at a certain point. And now, as I get older, like, it's some of my friends and stuff, like, maybe Tony Moore is a big influence, and guys that I like these days are like, Mike Mignola and Sean Gordon Murphy, Sean Phillips. Some pretty diverse things. I don't know. You just sort of pick little bits from all of it to sort of determine what's your thing. I have about a dozen Transformers in my collection. I like all of them. Yeah, I like them a lot. Yeah, I know about Bone getting an animated series at Netflix. That'll be good. That's potentially very exciting news. I'm going to go ahead and focus on the face, because I think that'll be the most fun. And if I can do something good with that, I'll feel more confident about the rest. I totally forgot to grab a cup of water before I started, and I'm super thirsty right now. Oh well, mistakes were made, lessons were learned. I've learned some pretty big lessons. Let's see. Hello, Jovia. Speaking of animated comic book adaptations, what does everyone think of the Invincible animated series being produced? Should be good. Yeah, sounds like a good idea. When I was 6, I sold a bunch of crummy knockoff Transformers to a guy at my parents' garage sale. He thought he was putting one over on some kid, and I got his $20. Good. No one will get mad if you get some water. No, I know no one will get mad, but I'm pretty locked into that hour, so I can definitely just wait. You know, I can just wait. It'll take too much time, use up too much valuable time if I go and get water. I will die for this show. I will die for it. Who's Invincible? Invincible's a superhero created by Robert Kirkman, guy that did Walking Dead, among other things. I've done an episode about it. I was a proofreader on it. It's a superhero that basically his father is, an alien along the lines of Superman, that kind of level of power. But one day, Mark, as an older teenager, wakes up and he's finally got his superpowers, and just sort of inherited them thanks to his biology, and then things get pretty weird from there. It's pretty good. It can be pretty violent sometimes, but it's not really all ages, but it's a pretty interesting superhero story. Who's my fave artist turned writer? I'm a big fan of Will Spertasio. Artist turned writer. Jason Latour. I mean, I'm biased because I've known him forever, but he definitely started off purely as an artist, and I think he's become a damn fine writer. But going back in time, I think John Byrne had a fantastic run. Don't see a lot from him anymore that I'm into, but he certainly had his time. Eric Larson. There's tons. I was wondering, when making a comic, should you link on the original price or do it on a drawing program? I don't get it. Link on the original price or do it on a drawing program. Not sure what those two things have to do with each other. Sorry, I don't quite understand the question. If you can try to rephrase it, I'll do my best to answer, but don't quite get it. Just answering a text from a friend real quick. I really like John Byrne's take on Fantastic Four. Yeah, totally. Oh, I know it. Then that makes me think of another one. Walt Simonson. Great artist, and his run on Thor as a writer was fantastic. So there's another one, like an artist turned writer. I meant, should you ink on the original piece or do it on a program? Well, it's ultimately whatever you're most comfortable with that produces the best result. If you're gonna, draw digitally, I don't see a lot of benefit to be gained from drawing it on paper and then inking it digitally. If you're gonna do that, you may as well just do the whole thing digitally. But otherwise, I think you get a cleaner result with traditional tools. I love when Adam Eve is surprised her teacher recognized her and he responds with, "Come on, you're not even wearing a mask." That was good. Kirkman did a pretty good job at subverting some of the typical superhero tropes and having fun with them. I know he had a lot of fun with a lot of elements of Invincible, including names like Adam Eve and Rexplode, Duplicate. He loved that stuff. I used to tell him he was too influenced by Garbage Pail Kids, but I like those names quite a bit. Multiple, yeah. I've considered doing a video on J. Michael Straczynski. Haven't gotten to it yet, but definitely will at some point, I'm sure. Hello, Monsterism. Calling it the end of the day back there in the UK. Totally understand. My favorite comic-based video game. I'm sure I have one, but that's a tricky question to answer off the top of my head. Because right now, all I'm thinking of is like the bad ones on the old original NES that I used to play before I knew any better. I really liked the arcade, the first arcade of Ninja Turtles, though. That was something I really enjoyed a lot. I remember. What else was really good for a comic book? Curious what you all have to say about that. Like, what's a good comic book based video game? As in, the comic book had to come first. Spider-Man PS4. Well, that's a great suggestion. I loved Spider-Man PS4, so that's a really solid suggestion. Arkham Asylum. That's true. All the the Arkham games with Batman. Those were really fantastic too. Ultimate Alliance. Okay, those are some really good questions. Sorry, those weren't coming to me. I totally remember Atari Force James Gleason. That's actually a comic I've considered reviewing multiple times. Some really amazing creators on it. Jerry Conway and Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. Yeah, that would be an interesting one to discuss. Very well done. Least favorite member of the Bat family. I don't know. Batmite, if he counts. I've never really gotten too into the idea of Batmite. To me, that doesn't fit Batman too well, but, you know. Other than that, I don't know. Can't think of anyone that I've, like, hated, per se, in the Batman family. Anybody out there ever have any like recurring nightmares? That just popped into my head. I don't really have them now, but as a kid I used to have some. I remember like one was just like this guy that would be like completely in shadow. I could never really see him clearly, and he was just standing in the woods behind my house, and every time I'd look out the window, he'd be like staring right back. That was one that would definitely scare me as a kid. No, I like Ace the Bat Hound. I don't think he's necessary all the time, but I like I think Batman could have a dog and take good care of it. Well, Alfred could take good care of it. Alfred, have my dinner ready, and feed Ace, the Bat Hound. At once, Master Bruce. Alfred, hurry up with that dinner. It's been a busy day of fighting crime. Hurrying, Master Bruce. You'd think that he would need more than one butler with the amount of work he puts on Alfred. Do I have an opinion on Seven to Eternity? I like everything that Rick Remender's written. So, yeah, I like Seven to Eternity and Black Science and Low. All his recent books, yeah. Calm Down. Not that wound up. RuneScape. RuneScape. Looks like you're drawing Gandalf. Well, he's a little more creepy than Gandalf. That's saying something, because Gandalf, total creep. Dude comes back to life. That's creepy. Alfred, where are my tater tots? Hurrying, Master Bruce. Want my tots? Never mind, the bat signal's back on. I gotta go out. Have those tots ready when I get home, and they better be warm. Alfred. Alfred's life must suck. Gandalf was the worst wizard ever. I don't know. Was he? That guy, Dumbledore sure kept his share of secrets from Harry Potter. It's like once a year he'd be like, and also, Harry, your parents, I know how they died. Like, could have told me that 5 years ago, old man. Mr. Belvedere versus Alfred. Well, Alfred's going to win. Alfred has military training, and Mr. Belvedere once sat on his balls and couldn't work for the day on the show. I don't remember the actor's name, but that's a true story. If you look it up, he famously sat on his own balls and gave himself an injury. So I've never heard of Alfred sitting on his own balls. Alfred, amuse me. Sit on your balls. Aunt May versus Uncle Ben. They'd never fight. Trick question. Is Alfred British? He is. I don't think he's MI6, which is like, like a spy. I believe he was like in the Royal Air Force. I think that's canon. So yeah. I missed some questions. Sorry. Gandalf had 4 spell slots and they were all bad. Yeah, last year's Inktober does seem like it was not too long ago, but here we are again already. Jarvis from the Avengers was RAF as well, and a boxing champ. Oh, I don't remember that. Yeah, I do remember the Avengers story where like Jarvis was pretty much the only guy left, and he beat up some ordinary like crook on the street with his dumb umbrella. Jarvis is nowhere near as cool as Alfred. Jarvis is a ripoff of Alfred, and he's always sort of portrayed as like portly, and he doesn't really do much other than like clean for the Avengers. Don't worry, Captain America, I'll make your bed. Great, Alfred. That's wonderful. So lucky. Alfred wants to see their Linuses. Yep. Oh, Alfred. Jarvis is the Mountain Lightning to Alfred's Mountain Dew. That's perfect. The best British Avenger was John Steed. Not bad. Boy, that Avengers movie was not too good. The original Avengers TV show from Britain was a lot of fun. It was weird, it was like a weird spy show that had sort of science fiction and stuff in it, so could have been cool. But boy, that movie with Uma Thurman and Ralph Fiennes, that was abysmal. They wasted Sean Connery. And this is merely the beginning. He controlled weather. Yeah. What do you mean you're bad, RuneScape? I don't know what you mean by you are bad. Are you saying like you've behaved badly or something? So I find that hard to believe. Did you forget to wash some dishes? Chris punched me in the stomach at work on accident. No, I didn't. That's an exaggeration. You had something up, like a book or something, and I sort of punched that, but it wasn't in your stomach. Stop assaulting coworkers. And even if I did, that was like 2 months ago or something. I am going to get fired for how ridiculous I am at work. So someday they'll just say like that I pushed it. I just know it. I'm kidding. I'm a little silly at work, though. They let me get away with a lot of silliness. I don't yeah, as long as I don't assault any sea life. They said I raped the walrus. I didn't. That was the strangest story I've ever heard. I think. Yeah, I know, Poop. We talked about that in a couple episodes. Hello, Atomicus. I'm going to try drawing today. Good for you, Sean. It's awesome. Me too. You never know. One of these days I might be able to do it by accident. He's talking about, actually there were two women from the Avengers in James Bond movies, because Pussy Galore from Goldfinger was from the Avengers, and so was so was Diana Rigg, who married James in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. So there were two of them. If just draw you some luchadors, could they feature on your show? Well, I always say that the rule is it has to have something to do with comic tropes. So it has to feature me or Infotron or like one of the characters that I've dressed up as, like one of the weird characters that I've had on the show. So I don't want to. A lot of people just send in fan art of things that they've drawn, and yeah, if it doesn't have something to do with the show, I have to limit it somewhere. I can't just show everything. So that's sort of the guideline I've come up with. Because I get like Joker and Venom and Deadpool all the time, and I'm just like, I just, if I showed that all, like, it would take too long. What is something that you will always like no matter what? Water. How do you feel about Jeff Lemire's Animal Man in comparison to Grant Morrison's? I think Grant Morrison, broke more ground, but I think Jeff Lemire had a good run and that I really liked. I'm biased on that one because my friend Travel Foreman was the initial artist on that run. I think he's incredible. I think he only did like 6 issues or so, but I really liked it a lot. And I liked how they explored the red and the rot. It was definitely dope. Good stuff. I've seen Zardoz. The gun is good. You can overdose on water. Yeah, you can overdose on anything. There's that lady that killed herself on some radio contest trying to drink the most water to win like a Nintendo Wii or something. What a depressing way to go, right? Can you imagine? Drinking too much water to get a Nintendo. That's Gotta be among the worst ways to die. Hold on, I gotta answer a quick text from a friend. I'm going out after this. I'll take a look at the questions in a minute. What's the noise in the background? Is that a fish tank? No, I have filtered sort of water that's constantly running for my cats. Black Cat by Travel Foreman and Jed McKay? No, that one flew under my radar. I'll have to look that up. Huh. Black Cat. The Marvel character Black Cat? Huh. No, I don't know who Jackson Lansing is. Sorry. He's your best friend's half-brother. Well, that's very cool. Hopefully you guys have gotten to talk comics. That sounds like a lot of fun to get to talk to somebody who's had the opportunity to write Batman and his own stuff as well. What's the worst thing you ever ate? Something that like just really grossed you out and made you sick. Yeah, I liked Spider-Man Life Story. That was really interesting. Marvel Black Cat. Oh, okay. I'll look it up. Oh, Lutefisk. Yeah, I've seen that. That's sort of like fish that's almost spoiled. I have a coworker whose family loves that stuff. Day old pizza. You've lived a charmed life if that's the worst thing you've ever eaten. Made a decision to like black out a few more things. There. Fish pickled in lye. Yeah, I've heard that that's like a dangerous, weird food to eat. I like Brussels sprouts okay, especially if it's cooked in butter. That they can be pretty good. Oh, thanks, Patrick. Appreciate the compliment. Oysters that have gone off are pretty bad. That's what I've heard. I've never had a bad oyster, but I don't really like them, so I don't really eat them. But I've heard that can be like really, really bad. A Maltese soda that tastes like carbonated Benadryl. Pass. I don't know if he's still in the chat room, but RuneScape is friends with like family friends with somebody that, and they make lots of that Lutefisk stuff. I don't know if he's ever had to eat it. Do you think the Magneto origin should change because of his age? Nope. I'll just chalk up the fact that he's as healthy and young seeming as he is to the fact that he's a mutant. And that, like, there's something about his specific mutation that allows him to stay young and healthy. I don't think it needs to be updated at all. I don't know if this Krampus ever got a sequel. I don't think so. I don't think it did that well. It was a cool design and a cool idea and a cool cast, but it either needed to be scarier or funnier with, like, the cast that it had, and it wasn't quite enough of either. It needed to be one of those things, either scarier or funnier. Let's say 3 questions. Where do you come from? Boston. Where are you going? Who knows? What have you learned? Not much. They're going to keep updating the Punisher's origin as time passes. Yeah, if they ever, like, sort of create, you know, a Punisher in, like, you know, a new continuity, they always update it. Like, you know, for the movie, for instance, or Ultimate Marvel. I mean, they have to. But for now, like, the main continuity, they've still kept him as being from, like, you know, the Vietnam era, which would make him essentially, like, you know, like Rambo, Sylvester Stallone. Like, he's in his, like, early 70s or late 60s by now, which is really pushing it, but, you know, it's still technically possible. At some point they're gonna, like, he's the kind of character that almost, like, breaks, like, Marvel aging time, you know? Characters like Franklin Richards, Power Pack, Kitty Pryde, and Punisher, characters that are basically shown to age, they're the ones that, like, really, like, threaten the status quo, because you can otherwise just sort of say, like, yeah, the X-Men have aged, like, 5 years, Spider-Man's aged, you know, 8 years. You can make up things like that, and it doesn't really matter, but certain characters sort of threaten to break the sense that it makes. Yeah, Rare Exports is a great Christmas horror movie. I'm pretty sure that they have not updated Punisher to have an Afghanistan background in the main 616 continuity. Hello, TARDIS. Thanks for joining us. Hello, Brian A. I've never heard of Dead End. That's interesting. With Ray Wise, huh? Well, that sounds cool. Ray Wise rules. Man, he was so good on Twin Peaks especially, but there's a short-lived show on, like, I don't know, maybe the WB or UPN called Reaper. That one he was pretty entertaining on too. He played literally the devil. I don't remember that much about it now, but I remember liking it at the time. That guy that plays Wild Dog on Arrow was on it. He He wasn't the star. He was just like one of the main best friend supporting character. Tyler Labine was on it. Do you ever end up finishing these after streams? Sometimes, rarely. Favorite funny horror movie? Probably Evil Dead 2. I always hated people expecting characters to age in chronological correlation with each year of comics because one issue of the comic could take place in a single day or a single hour or less. Yeah, one cool exception is what Eric Larson has done with Savage Dragon. That passes in real time. So, like, basically, there are jumps forward in time between certain issues. So the characters have always aged in real time. And he's been consistent about that. I think it works quite well. I don't know if it reminds me of Johnny Craig, but thanks, TARDIS Rider. Judge Dredd is another one. You're right. Judge Dredd ages in real time. Judge Dredd is pretty old right now in those comics. But he also is like sort of set in his future, and he's a clone, and this, that, and the other. He could be long lived, and it doesn't really break the logic of the world that he's in. You haven't read much of Savage Dragon, but I do remember some of the controversy with Larson's provocative art in recent years. I don't think he's the most provocative person. I really don't. Sometimes I know what you're talking about, but overall I think he's a pretty good guy and a really impressive creator. And I'm a fan. I will say that. I'm definitely a fan. I did prefer the earliest issues of Savage Dragon where he was like a cop, and then like where he was like sort of a government superhero compared to like the cosmic stuff. But yeah, Larson's good. Larson's really good. Just my opinion. Yeah, I've met Eric Larson in person a bunch of times too. I like it. Chris Ware, very talented. I would love to do an episode on something like Jimmy Corrigan or something like that. Like Chris Ware definitely makes some unique comics. So I'm definitely looking forward at some point to discussing that. Family Guy ripped off Jimmy Corrigan? Did they really? I don't watch Family Guy. I'm not aware of that. Do you have a favorite Image founder? Yeah, I think it'd have to be Eric Larson. Drawing is a little bit off frame. Okay. Thank you, RuneScape. Did Savage Dragon win? Win what? Oh, Savage Dragon versus Osama bin Laden. Yeah. Yeah, currently the title character is actually Savage Dragon, the original Savage Dragon's son. And that's just because of how long the title's been going. He had that kid like really early on in the run, and now he's like a full-grown adult. But that gives you an idea of what Larson's been able to do by keeping characters aging. What happened to the Max? The Max basically told a complete story, so there wasn't much more to do. it's kind of rare in a superhero comic, but it wrapped up its story. I'll discuss it sometime. That's an episode I want to make, is talking about Sam Keith and what makes him unique. But it's been a tough episode for me to crack for some reason. I've come very close to doing it a couple times and felt like I'm not quite there. First Last is drunk. Oops. If Larson has been doing the Savage Dragon for this long, how close is he to Todd's record achievement on Spawn? He's like something like 40 issues behind Spawn or something, and that's just because, McFarlane sort of early on outsourced writers and artists to keep Spawn very good on its monthly schedule. Now, Eric Larson's been incredibly impressive with his Savage Dragon schedule, but he still writes and draws every issue. So there have been some delays, especially during a period of time when Larson was president of Image. He had a lot more on his plate, so he essentially, like, he announced, like, I'm going to be behind, and he was behind for, like, quite a while. But he's totally back, and yeah. So it's like, I don't know. There was a Batman Max crossover recently. When I was in New York, I was at my friend's house, and he showed me it, and I was like, oh man, this makes me so nostalgic. It's amazing to me that, like, Sam Keith sort of became as popular as he did just because he has such a indie style to him. That's how I'd best describe it. It does not seem like something that would take off in mainstream superhero comics, but fans have loved it. So that's just kind of interesting to me to see that. I liked Aeon Flux, the cartoon, when I was younger. Yeah, and I think that Eric Larson probably will take Dave Sim's crown as, like, the longest running North American comic book done by one creator. Spawn has the title now of, like, the longest running independent comic book. But there is a distinction there in that, like, McFarlane has not written and illustrated every issue like Dave Sim did for Cerebus. And I think that, give it like another 4 years, and I think that Eric Larson's going to keep going, and I think that he'll definitely take that record. That said, there are several Japanese manga creators who have gone even longer on a regular schedule. So, it's all relative. There's always somebody that, like, has a bigger title. It's like Simpsons keeps getting records for, like, longest running primetime show or longest running cartoon. It's broken all these records. At the same time, there are TV shows that have way more episodes or started, like, ran longer. So, yeah. This chat is very nice. Well, good. Thank you for being part of it, Billy. Hello, Mr. Stupid and Wrong. You definitely keep doing your homework, but happy to have you along. I felt One Piece far exceeded Spawn, but Todd says he's the longest in the world. No. One Piece started before McFarlane. The only things is, like, you could, like, get into arguments with, like, the creator of One Piece is, like, taking a week off every once in a while. But he's on a weekly schedule. He's still, like, putting out regular comics consistently. Just one guy. Yeah, One Piece has a lot of records behind it. And I don't think anyone is likely to break most of those records because One Piece became the biggest sort of hit at, like, a time when there were way more readers even over in Japan, and so, like, it's unlikely that, like, the readership will get back to that what do you call it, like that level anytime soon. So One Piece will hold a lot of records for a long time in terms of copies sold and stuff. Ron Perlman would have been a good Savage Dragon. That's a good suggestion, Beowulf. But I'm sure that Larson would love to make a live-action one, and he used to say that he wanted Bruce Willis too. So someday there'll be a guy that's right. Maybe David Harbour. Coming up already on close to an hour, and I am going to have to take off shortly after that because I'm going out to a movie with a friend, so I don't have tons of extra time. I'm going to see that new Jay and Silent Bob movie. He got us tickets, so I don't know what to expect on that one. We'll see. It would be nice to see Kevin Smith sort of return to form. I definitely am nostalgic for a lot of the stuff that he did throughout the 90s. I liked Zack and Miri okay, but most of the stuff he's created in more recent years I haven't been super into. But willing to give this one a shot. Go back into that old View-esque universe. Wasn't that what he called it? The View-esque universe. And hopefully it's fun. I didn't like Tusk now. I didn't like that. Yeah, I know it's got a limited release, but we've got tickets. We're going to go see it. It's local. Was John Hurt in Tusk? I didn't remember him being in Tusk. Yeah, Yoga Hosers I tried to watch on like Netflix or something. I'm like, well, it's free. You know, I know it's got bad reviews, but I'll watch it for free, and I couldn't. I just couldn't watch it. It was bad. I was like, Johnny Depp signed up for this? I mean, I get that his daughter was in it, but come on. He should have known better. I don't know if a Valiant Cinematic Universe could work, but, you know, they're moving forward with that. They're going to first start off by doing Bloodshot with Vin Diesel. I could be wrong, but that might actually be filming now. So we'll see what happens. I want Uwe Boll to take control of the Solson Comics universe. That feels like it would be two really bad things that would somehow cancel each other out and become halfway decent. I don't know. Solson, man. Solson made some pretty bad comics. They weren't around for too long, but yeah, that kid was crazy. There's this guy called Saul Brodsky who was like a production manager type of guy at Marvel forever. one of the guys that kept the place running, and his son started his own imprint in the 80s, like, and just produced some pretty terrible comics. What am I drawing right now? I'm drawing Krampus. Before I leave, I'm going to just try to do at least a few of these iron chains. I was really hoping to do a little bit more on this guy, but you can only do so much in an hour, apparently. Some of this is, to get better, and some of, like, doing this live stream is to get faster. It's if you want to be able to draw comics, you basically have to be able to draw pretty fast and just sort of be okay with what you create and move forward. Finally got to see that Breaking Bad movie, El Camino, last night. It was really good. It was really good. Totally lives up to Breaking Bad's reputation. So that was dope. What other questions are there? What kind of brush pen do you use? I like the Secura brand of Pigmas. Yeah. Krampus gives kids toys that will drag them into hell. Oh, I've never heard that explicit thing of giving them toys. I just heard that he puts them in a sack and hits them with a stick if they've been naughty. But I think when you look at, like, Santa and Krampus, it kind of it seems to come from, like, the Norse myths of, like, like Santa is basically somebody along the lines of Odin, and Krampus is a little bit like Loki. Krampus didn't translate well to other cultures. Yeah, I've heard of Black Peter too. Who's my favorite superhero? Probably Spider-Man. I've always liked Spider-Man a lot. Feels very relatable and likable. Guy that has bad luck but still tries to do right by others. let's see. I definitely need to leave now to get to my movie on time. I can't stay any later, unfortunately. So this will have to be what I created so far tonight. Obviously, it would have been fun to sort of flesh this out and work a lot more on his beard and hair and stuff. But hopefully you can at least get an idea of where I was going. And I personally got to work on some techniques for feathering and stuff. So I had fun doing that. I had fun answering the questions. Someone else commented on how it was a really nice, friendly group tonight, and I agree. It was a lot of fun to chat with everyone. So I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully, do it at an earlier hour. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Let's just real quick see what the prompt is for tomorrow, and then I'll leave. Oh boy, I should have left already. Well. Tomorrow's prompt is Misfit. Today's was Ornament, tomorrow's is Misfit. So, gotta give that some thought. Not 100% sure what leaps to mind there as making sense. Misfit. If I stick with doing horror, there's plenty of characters that could fit within Misfit. So, I'll give it some thought. Until next time, keep reading comics. See ya!